Well, it seems as if my 240 is ruined. What's up, guys? Welcome back for another video. If you're just joining for the first time, welcome. If you've already been subscribed, you're awesome. Thank you for coming back again. Let's take a couple minutes to talk about my 240SX that I sold, I think it was in March, and not looking good. So I don't know where to start. I put a lot of time and effort into that car, and I was kind of sad to see it go. Didn't really want to sell it, didn't have to sell it, but it was kind of like the right thing to do at the right time. I never got to finish the car, and it was kind of like, all right, car's gone, don't have to think about it anymore. But now, here and there, I get DMs on Instagram from people asking about the car because it's being sold or trying to get sold again. You probably saw in the thumbnail already. I'm probably gonna make it the thumbnail. Just looks at like whatever, but we're gonna dive in for a little closer look. So first things first, I sold this car to someone that lived in Pennsylvania, and he's the one that put the vinyl decal on it. To each their own. I'm not a big fan of it, but it's just a decal. You can remove it if you don't like it, so that's not a big deal. The big deal is that he traded it to some, I want to say some kid back in New York, and this person, from what I could tell, is not very well versed in the car world / fixing things in the cars. So there's that. It appears as if possibly he's using it as a daily driver, which we'll get to that in a minute, and it's street parked, which no bueno. Obviously just gonna leave all the names out of it because that's not important. Whatever, the most important thing is the car itself. So we're gonna look at this picture here, which was also the thumbnail, and you can see, first off, New York requires you to have a front license plate. The front license plate is drilled into the bumper. It looks as if the lip area, the front of the bumper, is cracked. I feel like that's all you can really tell from this angle of this picture. But let me pull up the screenshot of a conversation I had with the most recent person in DMs that drove 10 hours to go look at this car to go buy it because it was kind of misrepresented to him. So the main thing of this, obviously the alternator and stuff like that, it's not a big deal, that could be changed, but main thing is the body kit's cracked, the roof's dented in, and the hood is cracked everywhere. So let's just start with the body kit. Those of you who have been following along on the channel with the build or first time here, that body kit is a Car Modify Wonder body kit. It took over a year for me to get that from Japan. I kind of ordered it right at the beginning, right before COVID hit, and then there was just excuses, but I've heard those kits have taken 2 years for some people without even dealing with that. But whatever, it took over a year to get, which is completely ridiculous. Then the hood is a Saban, I forget which style it was offhand, but when I got that, that was the last one in the country. I was already planning on not even taking this car to a track, because I have tracked my car in the past a couple times before the engine build, and at least once after the engine build that I can remember, for not drifting, but regular grip, whatever, just because I didn't want to destroy the kit. All right, shit happens, probably bottomed out on something or whatever, cracked the lip of the kit, if that's the case, if that's the only thing that's broken, but that's all I can see from this picture. But the unacceptable thing is drilling the license plate into the front bumper. Now look at this other angle that I have here. It looks, if you zoom in, that the bumper is just zip tied onto the car. Who knows? But this is very upsetting. Also, some detective work from the person that was DMing me last. He noticed that the oil filter is in the exact same position as one of the last pictures I had of it, which means the oil probably hasn't been changed in God knows how long, who knows how many miles. I didn't drive the car that much in the first place, so it wasn't not a big deal on my end, I would say. But I mean, we don't know how much the car's been driven, so I guess that's not a big deal. But from what I've heard is also the turbo was blown at one point, so maybe that's why the car was traded to this guy. Who knows? But I guess that's not a huge deal, but just another thing that this car's just going downhill fast. There's actually been a bunch of people that are like, oh, you should buy it back. No, I don't want to buy it back. First of all, I'd probably be too annoyed to get this car back at this point with the body kit that I was explaining earlier that took me forever to get is just destroyed. The hood is destroyed. From my understanding, it actually flipped up on this kid when he was driving one day, which means he didn't latch it down properly, because it never happened to me. And then the roof is dented in. Like, what's going on? I don't want this car back. It's upsetting, but I don't want it back. Then on top of it, for not wanting to get it back, is, from my understanding, he's trying to get $28,000 for this car. I didn't sell it for anywhere near that. I was kind of in a rush to sell it, but we'll get to it in a minute. I didn't have to sell it. We'll get to that in a minute. I wouldn't pay anywhere near that for this car, especially knowing what I know now. So now let's get to the part, I guess, which is the adult decision that was made originally with this car, why I sold it. So once again, if you're already subscribed, you know this. I was living in New York, Westchester, New York, which is right above New York City. So I was living there, and we were relocating to southern Utah. So I had the 240SX, Mustang, my truck, the ZR2, and a 190E. Mustang, we were financing it. I actually sold it back to the dealer and got a few bucks extra. So it was actually, I don't think it didn't cost us any money to own the car for the couple months that we owned it, which was a plus because this market actually helped out in that case. 190E, not worth it to sell. My wife, not this specific one, but my wife's first car. She was doing the body kit on it and all this stuff. We got plans for it in the future. No reason to sell that. Plus, you're not going to get much money for it. The truck we're obviously not selling because that's our daily, that's our reliable truck. Then it came down to the 240. Getting cars shipped across America isn't the cheapest. I mean, it's not crazy expensive, but it isn't the cheapest. And to ship the truck, the Mercedes, and the 240 was just going to be a little bit ridiculous. I think it was like almost like $6,000 or something like that. It was getting pretty crazy just to ship the cars. Now I put a ton of money into this car, and I know that I'll never get that money back. So at this time, I'm just thinking like maybe I could sell the car now and recoup some of the money instead of taking a huge loss. I'll just take like a regular size loss. Between that and then just getting the car shipped in the first place, because if you go back to the videos, there's always like small little issues that I was dealing with because it was my car and I didn't mind it and I was gonna eventually figure it out, but there was just some like little issues, like just getting it started every single time. It was like a little game that I couldn't figure out. I think I was getting close to figuring it out, but I couldn't figure it out. A little game like that. You gotta let it idle. Sometimes it'll just die if it was too cold. It being so low in the first place, how is it even gonna get on the trailer to get here? Because the truck that came was like a 3-car trailer, but that's not a definite. You go through a company, they just put it like on a board or whatever, and then someone picks what job they want to do. So I guess 3 cars would have been nice to just get that trailer, but it's just that was stressing me out. By the way, none of these are like really big issues. I could have dealt with them. Just deal with the stress of getting the car here. It would have got here. I could have just raised the suspension. I don't have to worry about all that stuff. Other thing, car is tuned on 93 octane. Where we are, the highest we get is 91 octane. Different elevation. I'm sure the car would have been fine, but I put so much money into that engine, I would have wound up getting it retuned. Not a big deal, but just another thing I would spend money on to get it done. Another thing I didn't even think of at the time, but after we finally got here, I mean, we saw the house, but it just didn't dawn on me. I wouldn't have even been able to get up into the driveway. And then a lot of parking lots and stuff are kind of the same around here because there's no real sewer system. It's all just street drainage. And the curbs are very steep. So just getting in and out of my driveway would have been a thing. I would have been one of those guys with the wood or whatever, just making it as smooth as possible. Yes, I could have raised the suspension, but what's the fun in that? No power steering in the car, which, whatever, I've dealt with it for so long, it's not a big deal. But no air conditioning. It rarely gets below freezing around here. So right now, this time of year, it's October, and wake up, it's like 50 degrees, but it gets up to the 80s still. We'd deal with it, but at the middle of the summer when it's triple digits, that car's just sitting in the garage, you can't even touch it. So with all that being said, it is what it is. Kind of sucks. It was my favorite car I've had so far, and the car I put the most work into, so it's kind of like upsetting to see that, but it is what it is. We'll move on. Hopefully people stop DMing me about this car that they're going to look at and how fucked up it is at this point. Whatever. It is what it is. I'll see you guys in the next one. If you made it this far, thank you. Leave words of encouragement down below. We're not going to go crazy with the build on the BMW that we have because it's a very old engine. Maybe if that blows up, maybe we'll LS swap it. Who knows? Maybe we'll get crazy. See you guys in the next one. Peace out. leave some comments down below, leave some words of encouragement, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and stay tuned for further videos.